So, now my old build is taken apart. We're going to get in and view a little overview of all my parts that I'll be taking over and some of my new ones. So here they all are laid out, but we're actually going to get into more specifics and we're going to just go into each part exactly. My motherboard is the ASRock ZAD77 Extreme 4. It has an LGA 1155 socket, 2 PCI Express 3.0 and 2 PCI Express 2.0 slots, 3 RAM slots compatible with up to 28 MHz RAM, 4 SATA 3 and 4 SATA 2 connections, and 6 USB 3.0 with 8 USB 2.0 connections. My Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo is also making the move to the new case. I will be replacing this after my GPU with a full custom water loop solution, as I'm at the limits this air cooler can really allow me to push in terms of heat with my overclocks, and honestly I don't like the way it looks anymore. My processor is an Intel i5 3570K Sandy Bridge. It came with a stock speed of 3.4 GHz with a 6 MB cache, but I've overclocked mine to a conservative 4.5 GHz core clock. I think I can go for a 5 GHz overclock depending on the quality of my chip, but I'm going to need water cooling for this. I am sticking with my 16 GB of DDR3 g.skillz RAM running at 1600 MHz. The GPU I'm using is still my Asus GTX 760 DirectCU2 OC Edition. This card runs 2 GB of memory core clocked at 1006 MHz and has DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort outputs. I have my card overclocked with a core clock of 1116 MHz and 325 MHz overclock on the RAM, which allows me to run games like Battlefield 4 on high with a steady 55 to 60 FPS. I am, however, looking to replace this card with either a GTX 970 or a GTX 980 when I have the cash. For storage, I'm going to go with a 1TB Hitachi Green hard drive and a 250GB Samsung 850 EVO SSD with my Windows 10 OS installed. The fans I'm going to be using are the Noctua NF F12 PWM fans. I currently have one, but I'm planning to get 4. I'm finally changing over to a new power supply from my old OCZ 750 watt, which I've had for a whopping 7 years. The new power supply is an EVGA Supernova Nex 650G, which is fully modular, silent, has a 10-year warranty with 80 plus gold efficiency. This is enough wattage for me to upgrade into the parts I want to get in the future, as long as I don't SLI 2 GTX 980s, but I can't see that happening. It's also time for a new case, the Define S by Fractal Design. My old half 932 case, which I've had for 7 years as well, is just too bulky and has only support for bay reservoirs for water cooling, unless you mod it, so I chose to upgrade to a new case. The Define S will house a nice tube reservoir with a D5 laning pump, 360mm radiator with a CPU block with no hassle for space. I also enjoy not seeing the clutter of my hard drives and SSDs. So, without further ado, let's get to the building montage. Okay, so build's done. It's running behind me. Started up with no issues besides I just had to reset the CMOS. It just has a reset button on the back. The build itself took probably, the whole teardown and build took probably about 2.5, 3 hours. Cable management in the back of this one wasn't too bad. I liked that it had like the built-in Velcro and stuff like that, so that was definitely bonus. I'm gonna go back and probably redo some of the cables in the back because I'm a bit of a stickler when it comes to cable management, so, but it's passable now and it's acceptable. I missed one of the fans in the front because I just didn't have the correct screws, because it was actually a fan that I just had like laying around, a 120mm fan, and I wanted to try the Noctua fan actually on the cooler itself, because where it's like a designated like tunnel airflow, very like concentrated. I wanted to have it on the heatsink just to see if it made big temperature differences when I run like at a 64 and stuff like that. So we'll see, but I wanted to do that anyway. There's pretty much no color coordination on the go at the moment, and I'm not really worried about it because I'm gonna have to take stuff out and paint it. But until I start getting other parts in, it's not that big of a deal to me. The LEDs are still on their way from China, so I'm gonna mount those probably down bottom and across top. They're white LEDs to light up this whole area. Love the power supply. Love the modular power supply. It's freaking amazing. The fans are actually pretty quiet, all of them. I'm pretty happy with the fans. A couple things that I found difficult coming from a full case to a mid-size tower. You pretty much have to put the CPU power cords in. The header cords up on top. Holy crap, after you have the aftermarket cooler in, you have like that much room to get your fingers in. So that's like my lesson learned. I've never owned a mid tower before, so my lessons learned on that one. I won't be doing that again. I like the way the cables look and everything. I hate that I have red RAM now, so I might be replacing that. And I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the places that my motherboard has plugins for this. You can tell it's an older motherboard because it worked better with the older case I had. And now with the new case, that motherboard, some of the spots are extremely hard to plug into. I also had some trouble with the hard drive and SSD mounting, the 3.5 and 2.5 inch mount brackets in the back of it. It's difficult to figure out how stuff's supposed to go in. I know it's only like one way or the other way, but they don't leave you much room. The hard drive is like millimeters away from not being able to be plugged in with a SATA cable, and there's no way to make it better. So I don't know if it's something I did, or I don't know, I'll have to go back and have a look at it, but it's in, it's running, and everything's secure. I did get it in after, but there's like no room for error. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I love the new case. It's a lot more solid than the half, I can tell already just from running it. I'm going to do some benchmarks and stuff to get the fans really flowing. Obviously there's not going to be any real difference in performance because it's a lot of the same parts, my GPU, my CPU and whatnot. So I'm hoping to replace my GPU soon and then get the full custom water loop, cooling loop for my CPU. I don't know if I'm going to replace my CPU just yet. If I get the CPU, I kind of got to get the motherboard as well. So getting both of them is going to be around like $500 or $600. I could get that instead of the water cooling loop and then get the water cooling loop after. But it's kind of like my i5 is good enough for what I use, right? I mostly game and I'm not stressing the i5, not with the overclock I have of 4.5 gigahertz. I don't touch close to 100%. There's times like on Guild Wars 2, if you're in one of the main cities like Lion's Arch or something, then it's pretty CPU heavy. Or if you're in a world boss train, when there's hundreds of people on the map, it's pretty CPU heavy. But I don't think it warrants a new CPU just as of yet. I definitely need a new GPU because the 760 is just bottlenecking me right now. So, but yeah, there's gonna be updates coming in the future. The LEDs will probably be the next update. If I like that fan, I'm going to get a couple more of them. I'm going to mount like full 3 up front. Or actually, I might do 3 across the top because if I do water cooling, I want to put the radiator up there, and then I can see what it looks like with the 3 up top. And I might just leave the 1 fan up front, or I may get another 2 and then put 2 and 3 and the 140mm fan they give you up front, take out. I'm not really sure yet. It gives really, really good airflow through the case. But, yeah. So, the build's done. Pretty sure I'm going to sell the half case. But yeah, next video, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. If you got any ideas, obviously just leave a comment. Make sure to give the old thumbs up or the thumbs down if you didn't like it. Leave a comment. And make sure to subscribe. Thanks.